I'm here with the Carton Kids, and why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Kenneth, Pat, and Gail.
I'm Joey Ryan.
And where are you guys from?
We were both born and raised in Los Angeles.
Cool. And you guys are opening for Over the Rhine. You're on tour with them now.
It's 15 shows in the West Coast and the Northeast and the Midwest. This is the second one.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to jump into some questions. I know both of you guys are songwriters in your own right. You write separately. When you write together, what's the process? Do you collaborate on everything? Do you write separately and come together?
Well, it's a bit of both. That's one of the real nice parts of my and Joey's partnership here as a band is I think for the first time ever it's been the most comfortable either of us has been with somebody else, allowing them into, I guess, just the emotional process of writing songs. And so there was something when we started this project about trying to push that involvement as close to song inception as is possible. And so, still I think like the real healthy part of any good song is that it's coming from an emotionally true place. And so I think we sort of each tended to take the reins from the start on a specific idea, but the minute that it was appropriate for the other person to lay claim to it, we sort of forced that collaboration.
So in researching your music, I noticed you guys get a lot of comments about how harmoniously your voices meld together, that you almost sound like the same person doing all the vocal harmonies. But obviously you guys are both individuals. How do your individual differences complement each other in the songwriting process?
I think we have a lot of differences, musically and personally, and I think ours is a partnership, which is a prime example of two really different things sort of just luckily fitting together and complementing one another. And I think for that reason, when people do refer to the way that the voices blend together, it's less that it sounds like the same person and more that it sounds like an entirely different third person, which I think is a high compliment and something to strive for. And it gives the songs themselves, I think, the respect that they deserve as kind of an entity unto themselves, because it's almost as though you're hearing it from the perspective of neither one of us. And so I think that's what the liner notes to our record indicate, and that's, I think, what some of those comments you're talking about are reflecting on.
Yeah. So you'd say that it's not a struggle to work together to write music.
No, just the rides in the car. That's the only struggle.
Right. Well, in a couple days we'll have our 100th show since April this year. Our 100th show ever.
Wow. And I know you guys you mentioned that you guys just started as a band earlier this year, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And already you have you're touring with Over the Rhine. You've got you mentioned a second ago your liner notes by Joe Henry. How did all this come about? How did it blow up so quickly for you guys?
Well, boy, I don't know. Other than just pushing our shoulders firmly into the wheel and doing it, mm-hmm. I don't know. Outside of that, if we could really lay any real claim ourselves to any of those accomplishments. That seems to be some really nice people saying some really nice things about us, and it's been personally very exciting, of course, to have been asked on this tour with Karen Linford, and again for Joe to say such nice things. We've been real fortunate that way.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed like you give away your records for digital downloads and all that kind of stuff. Has that helped you guys develop a fan base?
I think so. I think it's a gift, I think, that we're given, that we can get our music to as many people as we have, so easily and for free. And I think a lot more people, I think we've reached a lot more people by giving the records away for free than we would have if we had been insisting as a brand new band that no one ever heard of, that they ought to, shell out some money or to even hear it for the first time. And so what we've seen from that is people have been sharing it, amongst themselves when they discover it and they know it's free. And if they like it and they react to it, then they've been sharing it so emphatically that I think that's a big part of why it spread so much. And of course, the whole thing is in service of the live show. Since we knew we were going to be on the road incessantly, the records themselves, musically, the process of making them and giving them away for free is kind of all in service of the live show.
So you consider yourself more of a live band than anything else?
I think so. I think that's fair to say. Obviously we're committed to it. More than that, there's a strange thing for us, I think, when Joey and I scaled back to this idea of just using the two guitars and the two voices to say what we had to say. In that discovery revealed itself a real landscape of just musical opportunity that neither of us had ever considered or seen before. And in the same vein, that's sort of what our live show is we get to go and do this every night, and the possibilities are boundless because of some sort of like small magical thing that happens in between those four elements.
Right, because the tools are so limited
that we chase after. And so there's something, this is, I think, like the 95th show of the year so far. And it's not gotten old yet, for starters.
Kenneth has a real improvisational way of playing through a lot of the songs, which keeps it, new every night. I think if we were just, it's the same instrumentation as is on the record, and it's the same instrumentation night after night. But I think if we were just, recreating something night after night, then maybe 100 in a row would get old. But particularly Kenneth's playing, and then just all the other variables that come with being in a new place every night have kept it really exciting.
Touching on the fact that you guys have embraced choosing to not give away, but have the option to give away the recordings to draw people into your live show where you feel your bread and butter is. Do you feel that this is the way the music industry is heading, or can this not be replicated across the board?
I think it could work for other people. It's got to be. I think everyone's going to have their own sort of path. It's hard to say at this point that there will ever be one way to do it again.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, but for us it seemed like the obvious decision.
And thank you for your time, and good luck at your show tonight.
Yeah, you bet.